Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to create these super easy Christmas cards. As you can see, we're going to be creating some poinsettias. This is a beautiful deep red Christmas flower and I thought this would be perfect for the cards. This is my first Christmas painting this year, so I wanted to release the full-time tutorial so you can paint alongside me in great detail. If you want to see the rest of my Christmas creations, head over to my Patreon by following the link down below in the description. But for now, let's get to the painting. So as you guys can see, I've got everything out ready to go. I've got my paints open and ready. I've got my card to paint on. I've actually unfolded it as it just pops up when it is folded. So I'm going to keep it flat for now. And then off camera I've got 2 jars of water and my paintbrushes ready for today, and we are going to be creating some poinsettias. I'm really excited to create this Christmas card as poinsettias are that Christmas flower, so to be able to have this ready to go for Christmas is really exciting. And yeah, I'm going to jump straight into it and see what we can create. So I've got a slightly bigger brush for pre-mixing, and I want to create some nice reds to begin with. I want to create a nice bright red to start with. Usually I'd add other colours to this, but poinsettias are so bright and vibrant. I want to kind of keep that as is, so I'm just going to get some red in there. I'm actually just going to leave that colour be. Then next to that I'm going to use this red next to it. I think this is actually more of a pink. Yeah, you can see, oh wow, that's the thing, once it's in the actual palette and not in the tin anymore, it makes such a difference. So I'm going to add some red back into that. So we definitely want this to be more on the red side instead of the pink. But I'm going to add a little bit of purple to this just to deepen it slightly. A bit more red. And then I'm actually going to add some dark brown. I think this is dark brown. Here we go, it's more of a black actually. But we've added that, and can you see how that's so much deeper now than the first red that we had. I'm going to add just a bit more back in there so we don't lose the colour. But yeah, it's just that little bit deeper, which is what we're after. And I'm going to jump straight in with these colours to begin with. So I am going to use a flat brush. Find the right one. I think I'm going to use quite a thin one actually to begin with. Usually I'd go in with a thicker one, but because this is quite a small card and we're painting the initial petals to start with, I'm going to use this one that's that little bit on the flatter, thinner side, and making sure I've only got a little bit on there, we don't need too much paint. And I'm going to go in with the first flower in this top corner, and I'm just going to come out and then get wider with this brush as we come out to about there. And that's all we're doing for now. So I'm getting wider in that middle section. I'm going to add a bit more paint back in. I'm going to do this all the way around. Leaving the centre bare for now, as we're going to get a little bit more colour in there, hopefully, later on. But don't overthink it. You don't want to spend ages getting this completely perfect like mine is already. Even the the edges of these. I'm not too worried. I want to just get the paint in there. Just enjoying this process. It's not supposed to be perfect. I want it to be more of an enjoyable activity rather than stressful. So taking that pressure away and just going in with the colour, going in with the paint and just enjoying it. You can neaten up a little bit if you want to, but I'm happy with that as is for now already. Add a little bit more as we're running out already. And I'm actually going to put in a couple more initial base petals for some other flowers. So I think I'll do one around here, why not? And you can do this wherever you want to. Just remember, we're enjoying this process. No stress. If something doesn't come out quite right, just leave it. Flowers are not perfect. See, I could definitely go in there and add another one. I think this one needed to, if we were wanting it perfect, needed to curve around a little bit. But I'm just enjoying the process. I'm going to use my size 2 brush just to get a couple in a little bit smaller. So it's a little bit harder to do that with the flat brush, because even though it was quite small, you just can't really get them in as well. So I'm just going to quickly paint one in here. You see how that just looks different, but just purely based on the fact that we're using a different brush. So if you can do this with the flat brush, all power to you, keep going with that if you're wanting them to all look really similar. I think I'll do another one up here. So I'm doing the exact same thing in terms of keeping it quite thin and small, and then making it bigger in the middle, and then bringing that out a little bit more. There we go. So I'm going to go back to the start already, because we've not added that much down, and then that's dried a little bit. I'm just going to add a few more petals in really and layer this up. So I'm going to go in to all the gaps now. So I'm going to come out a little bit there. Just add another petal in. Bit there. And some of this may bleed out if it's not completely dry, but I'm not too worried about that. I think maybe a bit more colour, so it's quite light. But if you're wanting the petals kind of more behind to be light, that's not an issue either. So I'm bringing that first line out a little bit more, so you can kind of tell that these are like behind that section. So that line, just a little bit more extension, and then coming out with the petals. Oh, I think I've used the wrong colour there, of course. Oh, see, that is so much darker. It's so easy to do that with watercolour, especially when it's in the palette, because you can't see it as much. I'm gonna add Oh, I went in with the size 2 for that. Just to keep them smaller. Just want a tiny bit of that paint on the brush. Bringing them petals out. Doing this quite quickly. Don't want to overthink it. Sometimes it's better to go faster. Now I'm going to go in with this darker colour. Might add a couple of flowers just straight with this dark colour. Just so we've got that nice combination. I'm going to do one more. I'll do one down here, why not? There we go, I'm going to leave that one to dry a little bit, but then I'm going to use the flat brush again with this darker, more purpley tone. I'm going to add in a couple more petals. I might even just darken that up a bit more. So I've added a bit more red in this. Hopefully that's deepened it. We'll see how this looks. So we want that more colour in there now. Just getting a few thin petals in. Same for around here. I'm going to slotting them in, not worried about them overlapping. Not really adding that point this time either. Just going straight in with that colour. A little bit around there as well, keeping these a little bit more separated as this flower's kind of all merged together, so I'm kind of pulling the petals out that little bit more so they don't go right the way to the middle, they're a lot more extended. Couple there. So I think the best way to look at this is, so there's a little gap there with the petals as they come out, so I'm putting a flower, a petal there. It's kind of working around what you've already got. There's quite a lot of petals going on there. I'm going to add some more to this one. There we go. So I'm going to leave this a little bit now and go in with some other colours. So while we're mixing, it should have a little bit of time to dry, but there is quite a lot of water going on here, so I'm going to just give it a second really. We're going to create some nice greens. So I think out of them both, I'm going to try with this one. I'll put that over here. I love this colour. This is exactly the colour I wanted. And then in the palette next to it, I'm going to add a little bit more. So I've not added a lot of water to this, so hopefully it stays nice and dark. And then I'm going to go in with some of this umber looking colour. Or I think I might actually go for something just a little bit darker. So this dark brown. So we want to just really deepen it. And the brown's going to really help to do that. Like so. So now with the same flat brush, I'm going to start adding in some petals. I'm going to start with that first green to begin with. It's just a bit on the brush there, and I'm actually going to bring some petals all the way out. I'm going to start this side, so I'm going to do kind of the same thing. So can you see I've added a line and then made it wider. Got that first leaf coming out. Might add a little bit of the darker colour. It's coming out there, so there's a little bit of space there for a leaf. I'm going to put one in there. Get one in there, coming down that bit more. Another coming out there. Small one there. So it's just filling in where you want these leaves, really. There's no set rule for any of this. Oh, paintbrush just snapped. You can tell I use these a lot. Bit of a leaf there, and I'm going to let it blend slightly into that colour. Don't be scared of things blending and merging. This is what this kind of card is supposed to be, really. Put another leaf there. A bit more of a wavy one. Add just a couple of little splodges of this as well. These leaves have kind of connected all of this section together, which I think looks really nice. And again, I don't want to overwork it, so they're definitely not perfected. That's not the point of this card. So I'm going to let this dry just a little bit, I think, before I add too much more, because we don't want to keep going in, as it'll ruin the paper, in all honesty. Especially because this isn't watercolour paper that I'm using. I've decided to go in just straight onto a card, so the more we overwork that, it's just gonna, it could potentially ruin the paper, which we don't want. We want these cards to look as best they possibly can. We don't want there to be a hole because I've added too much water into an area. So I'm gonna leave this one just for a little bit. So I'm gonna budge this one out the way. And think I'm going to get another one out. So we can just continue adding or creating more and more cards. So I'm making sure I've got the right side so I can bend it later. And yeah, we're going to go in and create some more beautiful flowers. So for this next one, I'm going to use some washi tape. I've got it at hand here, and I'm just going to place this in the middle. I'm going to keep the writing that I want to do quite thin actually. So the main aim for this section is just getting it in the right sort of slot. Just like there, let's say, and then one just a little bit. I might actually overlap them so it's really, oh no, I need a little bit more tape to cover the whole, there we go, the whole card. I think I'm going to put that one there. I might bring this one down actually. This is also going to hold the card in place. I feel like I moved the last one a lot. Usually I pin it down, but I went straight in today. I was feeling brave. There we go. Maybe just a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. Happy with that now. So for this card, making sure that washi tape's really flat. But yeah, I'm going to do the exact same thing, but we're just going to change the structure this time. So I'm going to use the red to begin with. I'm going to put some more red in there as I've created a pink there by accident. And I'm just going to use a little bit on the brush again. And just create some flowers, but kind of coming out from here this time. So I think if I might do one here, coming a bit further out. So little line, petal, petal, leave it as is. Little line, petal, leave that as is. There we go, really simple for that one. I love how that one's turned out. And you'll find that the more free you are with it, you'll find some of them you're a bit, oh, I'm not happy with that, but then some of them turn out so beautiful. So I think for this one, I'll do the point really close to that edge now. And do a bigger one out here as well at the bottom. Not doing anything different even though we're working on this bottom section now. So I even put a little point there over the tape, so you've got something just to work towards. You could add some in that come right the way out, which is what we're after really. Want a lot of them to come out, so I might do one there as well. A bit of a smaller one now. Bit more out this time with this one. a little bit of water to add back in. So I'm going to jump back to the first flower that I was working on, and same as before, add in a few more petals now with the same colour. You'll find the more you do this, the faster you actually move with it. So I'm going a little bit faster now, feeling a bit more brave, a bit more free with it. That's the best way to look at this painting. Maybe I'm going to slot one there as well. Yeah, but then I'm going to go in with that darkest colour. Add a bit more red again into there. There we go. So that's really deepened it now. Means you can distinctly see these petals. These last couple of petals anyway. So I'm focusing on where that gap is again. We're around the top where there's no petal coming out. Just getting a couple more in there. Last little section. There we go. Really simple. I'm going to use the same colours again as before to put the leaves in. Might need a little bit more back in there. So, deciding where to go with these leaves this time. So I'm going to focus on making them all kind of come out from the middle section. So all the ones at the top, I'm going to have them pointing upwards that little bit more. And then all the ones at the bottom, I'm going to kind of flip it on its head and have them come out another way. can fill in a lot of the space as well. Maybe put one there. I love how they look when they overlap, so I'm not being scared of that potentially happening. I think that really added and contributed to the last card. I think I'm going to add a big one there. Why not? Just enjoy it. Please don't, the whole purpose of this, I know I keep repeating myself, but please just try and enjoy it. And a lot of these haven't really bled out. I think this one dried faster than the first card. So what I'm going to do is, making sure my brush is really clean, I'm just going to blend it a little bit with some water. So I'm just going in between the two colours with a little bit of water on the brush, and that will help them bleed together. Really simple. So I'm not going to take the tape off just yet, as I want that to dry a little bit. And then we can add a little bit more detail, same as before. So I'm just going to move this out the way. And then go back to that first card. Making sure you can see the paint there. So this is still drying as well, that little bit, but it's dried obviously more than the one we've just worked on. So what I'm going to now do is add a little bit of detail to this and just a few more elements to help tie it all together. So I'm going to mix some deeper colours now. So I'm going to go in with that green, same one we've been using, into that dark section. So that has come out really dark already, I can see. So I might use this to, for example, fill in a little bit there. Maybe another leaf there. Can do one overlapping now, and you're going to really see that stand out. I'm using the size 2 brush, and I've just cleaned it, and I've got a little bit of excess water on there. I'm just going to use that to kind of blend around some of this that we've just added in, just so it doesn't look as harsh. Even this one that's coming out that little bit more. So we're just adding more shades now, more shadow. Cleaning the brush and going in with small little motions. You'll have to clean it a few times, as otherwise it becomes really messy. We've just got that little bit more colour going on. Some of them you don't have to add water to, you can leave as is. I quite like the effect of adding the water though. I think it just adds another element. Makes it look a little bit more whimsical. And I love overlapping these leaves. Gives it a bit more something to it. I'm going to use this now as well. Could maybe add a little bit of detail, so if you can get some thin lines in there. Just a couple, don't want to go too crazy with this. I think it will detract from the overall sort of whimsical feel if we add too much detail. Just a little bit, a couple of little lines coming out from there. Bit of water and blending some of them out. There we go, and I'm going to jump back to the first card just to do the same thing while that dries a little bit. So it's quite good that we've painted 2 cards. It means we can allow the drying time and then just keep going sort of back and forth between the 2 without having to wait. Just going to make sure as well, got quite a bit of paint there, because I think this one's slightly darker from the get-go, so to have this colour as dark as possible is going to help. So again, could add a couple of little dots there. Can then blend out with some water. Not doing anything different, just going in with this colour, getting in some leaves, might add a bit more there. I feel like some of these needed just a bit more of a blend out. I think that's lacking compared to the first card. I love the way the blend out happens, so I want to make sure to get that in there. I think there's quite a few leaves already within this section, so I don't want to overdo it. So yeah, I'm quite happy with how that's looking already, really simple for that area. I'm going to jump back. So I'm jumping back to the first card now, and we can just add a little bit of detail. So I'm going to use that red, same as before, keeping it really dark this time though, which is why I'm only using the size 2 brush to mix, because it doesn't retain as much water as it's a smaller brush. So I'm going to get just a drop of purple. Maybe even a little bit of blue. We want to keep it more on the red side. So just finding a balance, and I'm actually going to add just a tiny drop of that really dark brown. Just a bit more red. There we go. And I'm going to use this to, again, add some detail the same way that we've done with the green, really. So we don't want to overdo it, but at the same time, it would be nice to get a little bit of shape to some of these petals. So I'm just going in like so. So for example, around here, just going to add another couple of petals in. That should be so much darker now, so we've got a really good variety of layers of these petals. See how much darker that is. Really not being scared to go in with this amount of colour. So even here, this one's all merged together. So I'm going to go in, and even as we come out, you can still see that overlap already of the petals. So as we come up here, it's just a bit lighter as it comes out from the red that's already down. That is just going to have such a difference. Like when it dries, watercolour dries translucent, so the fact that you can see that already, I think that's really, I love that. So as it dries, it's gonna be really prominent. I'm gonna mix the colour again, getting through it quite fast today. See how much darker and deeper that's now become. But then you've got the back, like behind that, so almost sort of the background to it. Some of the other petals creeping through. I love how this looks. Just the small things that you can do that make such an impact. And again, I'm not overthinking it, not actively deciding to perfect anything. It's just going back in with some more detail for the petals, and then even adding a couple of little drops of this elsewhere, same that we did with the green. Could even do a bit of a petal there. I feel like it's kind of missing around this section. Couple creeping out there. So again, I'm going to jump to the first card. Just realised how bad that glare was from the sun. As much as I love the natural light, just it shifts. Obviously the sun's moving, it all shifts a bit too heavily, so but yeah, I'm gonna just mix the same colour again. Just do the exact same thing really. Oh, I love how that deep that's come out. Yes, that's exactly what we need for this area, because it's just so dark and deep, the red that's already there, so this is just gonna really elevate it. You can see how much that stands out against it. I'll say against it, kind of works with it. Just going in, mapping in these petals. I love this. I'm gonna get a couple more in there. These two cards, obviously we've used the same techniques all the way throughout for both of them, going back and forth, but they are obviously going to look different because of the placement of all the flowers and the leaves, but also so for example this card I've added a little bit more red, it's a little bit deeper. There's just going to be subtle differences. but it's still going to create a beautiful card painting. There we go. So again, I'm going to jump back. This time, this has dried really nicely actually, so we're nearly there. I am going to add some beautiful yellow. So this is like a nice lemon yellow, I would say. A bit in that palette. Might even mix a bit of this yellow. This is even brighter. It looks almost neon-like. There we go. So we've got two really bright yellows there, and I'm going to use this to get a couple of dots in. So it's going to bring it all to life. So where you've got that white space, especially, it's going to work really well there. So I'm just going to dot that in. Nothing too crazy about that. Might even, once I've put it down on this second card, going to get in some paint splatters. Now, I love doing this. If you guys don't want to though, please do not feel pressure. It's just something I really enjoy doing, so that's mainly why. But I'm just going to get a bit of red in there, then add some water. So I've got a bit on this bigger brush. Get some on the back, why not? Let's really go crazy. I think the yellow especially is going to look really nice for this, because I've got a lot of green and red going on, so to have maybe different colours is going to be really nice. And then of course with that green, so just going to push that out of the way. So we can do the same up here. So I'm literally just holding it and tapping it onto the paper. Nothing out of the ordinary in order to get that down. bit of green, and then finally with that yellow. Now I'm going to let this dry before I add the calligraphy, just because obviously I've paint splattered now, so you can go straight in with that, especially if you've not done the paint splatters, but I would recommend just letting it dry, then we can add a little bit of calligraphy in there. Oh, I might also, before, let's take this tape off, see how this looks. I'm really excited to see this card. So you can kind of get a general idea before we leave it to dry. Being really careful when pulling this off. There we go, so that is where our calligraphy is going to go once it has dried. But yeah, I'm really happy with that. I think they're both going to look really lovely together. So I will see you in a couple of seconds. It will be a little bit longer for me, obviously, and I'm going to let these dry. Ta-da! Here they are, all dry. I'm really happy with how they've both turned out, and now I'm going to add some writing onto both of these cards. I can't find my calligraphy pen anywhere. I do have some more colours, but I really thought black would look nice. But then I've got this metallic pen, and it's a lovely gold colour, which I think will look beautiful and very Christmassy with the red and the green that we already have. So I'm actually going to use this, but you can use absolutely anything. You don't have to use a metallic pen if that's not something you've got access to. So I'm going to start, I think I'll start this side actually, just because this one's a bit more, I want to try and get the dimensions more in the middle, so focusing on this one that's a little bit easier. And I think I'm just going to write Merry Christmas on both of these, so I think this one I'll do it here. So if we going straight in, I think that's the only thing with this. It's very stressful. Careful that that's dried, some lefty, prone to smudging. Taking my time. Going across the page. And you can fill in them little blanks. A little bit of that there as well. I think it'd look really nice actually with, if I went in with black pen. I don't think I'll do that on camera, but I could add like a couple of little pen strokes with like a black fine tip pen. I think that'd look really nice. But yeah, really happy with that. And then this one over here, I think this time I'm going to go right the way across like this. Bit of a different approach there. Might write just to fill that space in. I'm glad that I thought of that last second, because I definitely needed to extend that a bit more. That's the only thing, it's getting the proportions right. But yeah, you can obviously write in whatever you want to, really. There's no restrictions. You could write happy birthday even if someone's birthday's over Christmas, or just this time of year in general. I also have a white fine tip pen. This is Posco. I love this pen. It's really good for adding highlights on watercolour. I'm just gonna test it on a scrap piece of paper, because it does have a tendency to like all come out at once, so kind of hold it and see what happens. Oh, might have run out actually. I think I've got another one somewhere, if not. Oh yeah, there we go. It's not essential, so don't worry if you don't have. I almost didn't have. Just going to make sure. Sometimes this pen, I think it's this pen in general, I don't think it's the brand. Just kind of plays up a little bit, but yeah, we've got some paint coming out there. And yeah, I'm just going to go in and add some highlights, literally just a couple of lines, kind of defining some of the petals. Could even actually add in a couple of lines on the leaves. So it's now just adding a bit more definition to the flowers, and the darker the petal, the more the pen's going to show up, so just be conscious of that. I like when it shows up more though. I think it looks really nice, like I love that. And you don't have to do it on all of them, I think I'll only do it on a few. Again, you don't want to take too long on this. Enjoy the process. Don't feel like you've got to add the pen down, because you absolutely do not. It's just giving everything a little bit more dimension. And same for the bottom. Look how, yes, I love how that looks on this one. So I think this one is my favourite flower that I've painted, just out of them all in this card. Same again, really easily, just going in with that. And like I say, don't want too much, don't want to detract from all the beautiful paintwork that we've done. It's very easy to go in right at the end and kind of try and perfect everything. And then for this one, I'm going to do the exact same thing. Even add a few more dots, because a lot of mine have gotten lost actually. I think it's just naturally bled out. Maybe I should have waited for it to dry a little bit more. But that's the beauty about cards like that. You can continue making them. There's no limitation, nothing to stop you making more. You could do one at a time and then let's see how that dries, and you're learning as you go. You might decide you prefer one to the other, and then you can continue with that. It's just be really quick with the lines. I don't have any, but I think if anyone has got access to gold watercolour paint, that would look absolutely stunning. Instead of even going in with this white pen, you could use that instead. I think that would look so lovely. Maybe a couple more dots in the first one, but yeah, I'm really happy with this, and I hope you guys are too. I really hope you've enjoyed painting this with me, and if anyone's got any questions, just leave them down below in the comments, or you can email me. I'm going to fold this one over now and see how they look as cards. Just being careful in case that white pen isn't fully dry, which I don't think it has, but you know, here we are. And this one here, lovely. And then they can be propped up a little bit better than that. That's more to do with the folding. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, I'm really happy with this. I hope you guys are too. I love them together as well. If you send them out to people that like live together, I think that would be lovely, that they both have a card that's really similar but completely different at the same time. And yeah, I really hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, guys, and I'll see you next time for another watercolour painting. Thank you so much for watching. Bye guys!